Okay. So we have the Dawn we covered. Who's on the phone? Samsung. Maybe if you guys can actually just quickly introduce yourself, that would be good.
Hey, hi Kiran, this is Vijay here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Vijay.
Yeah, yeah. Background
Can you
about me,
just
I'm from financial background, and then I'm new to AI and all these emerging technologies. Just want to get to know about AI, so that if somebody asks me about AI, I just don't be idle. That is all. Yeah.
okay? Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Vijay, for taking time to join. And we have Lochin.
Yeah, hi Kiran. My name is Ruchan, and I am also based off DFW area.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a software engineer in DFW area, and I'm in a mostly in the application development area
Mm-hmm.
of it,
Mm-hmm.
and generally I focus on integrations like application integration using APIs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have not actually worked on any of these models or stuff like that. I'm mostly like a user of it. Like I've used ChatGPT, then Gemini, then AI Studio, I think from Google, which basically do the reasoning and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then when this DeepSeek come out, right, you know that it made a big splash. There was a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
disruption because of that, because of the cost. So I just wanted to kind of get a general idea.
Wonderful.
And like my aspiration is to basically get into this area, but right now I'm not working on this area actually.
Okay, good, good. This is a good
Yeah,
start, actually. I mean, as I said,
yeah,
this would be a combination of people from varied backgrounds and, who want to learn and who can actually offer other people to learn and get up to speed. And, I know personally some people who are all here. So Vijay is my neighbor and friend. He's getting into this. And we have some more people up there who are already experienced in developing the systems and actually they're utilizing in their daily job. Yeah, so I see Funny who joined. Funny, just for the, I know you, but just for the sake of, having everybody understand who we are, quick intro from your side, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I just joined. I work for a consulting company, and I am an AI strategist and an AI product manager, working on Azure AI, Amazon Bedrock, and GCP products. So that's my brief. And I
Wonderful.
have 2 decades of experience, and I'm leading AI projects for my company.
Perfect. Thank you, Funny. Chris, you're next, I see. Would you introduce yourself?
You meant Krishna? Me or
Oh,
Chris?
no, Chris. I see somebody called
Uh,
Chris.
Oh, hey,
Uh,
yeah, that's
Hey.
me. Hey, I am a founding member of the FIPSI FPGA V2. We actually launched a Kickstarter yesterday. I can put the link in the chat,
Oh,
and
perfect.
we're focusing on education, best practices for FPGAs, learning DIY projects, enthusiasts, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, if you can share, your details, that would be great. As I was saying before somebody joined, this is the start of what we wanted to do. We want to do some hackathons in the upcoming few weeks, and there's an investor I was talking to who was interested in getting together the right folks to see what we can do. So this group, as we go through like week by week, we will start figuring out the number of people who are like-minded, and we can all come together. Thank you for joining the call, Chris, and sharing your information. So I'll share this link with everybody. It's there in the Kickstarter. Uh, it's about FPGAs. Great for DIY projects. We can take a look at that later. Thank you, Chris. And we have Krishna K. Um, Krishna, quick intro about yourself.
Hi, my name is Krishna Kulle, brother. Many Krishnas here. So, yeah, I am enterprise solution architect at Regions Bank. Right now, I'm working on some of my personal products, and I'm exploring, various AI architectures and options. I'm working on some prototypes. That's all from my side.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Krishna. And we have OnePlus. Somebody from using OnePlus has joined. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, hello. I'm from Vancouver. I'm
Okay.
software engineer doing for e-commerce company.
Okay. What's
Yeah,
your
my name is Louis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Louis. Okay.
Hi.
Thank you
So,
for. Go ahead.
so I want to find some real user case can be used in e-commerce. So I need to learn some new stuff.
Mm-hmm. 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 So you're
Yeah.
looking, if I understand you correctly, you're looking for some real use case to actually utilize these LLMs?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. We will, we'll start sharing, more about the DeepSeek and how it's coming into picture in the upcoming. You can reach out to me or anybody in this group. I'll share my WhatsApp as well. Later at whoever is interested can join that, or you can directly reach out to me over the meetup as well. Okay. We can start sharing more information from there. Thank you,
Okay.
Chris, for taking time to join. And we have Santosh Kumar.
Yeah, thanks, Kiran. So this is Santosh joined from Bangalore, India, working in Broadcom. I got connected to this group recently through common friend of me and Kiran, Rajesh, and I'm here and eager to learn from all of you. My ultimate goal is to understand what it takes to build AGI. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, AGI. Okay, good. That's a good point. We'll have a discussion in the upcoming few sessions. I'm actually planning to have those, but we want to start from the basics and we want to build it up on top. Okay. So, Krishna, I think you are there, Krishna Puttagunta.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kiran. So, yeah, I've been like trying to get mingled with all the youngsters like you guys there, trying to catch up with technologies. I've been there like almost 20 years. Currently, I'm working as like Gen AI architect in financial and banking industry. So we have like 10, 15 use cases running in parallel with the different scenarios. So mostly built with just a simple LLM and prompting things, but then we are building using multi agents now with a lot of iterations on that. But there's also we have like different teams. One is model building teams that actually builds it, fine tunes and all the stuff. So different aspects. But yeah, I would love to learn all these areas, both as building applications as well as understanding and different models, how they are used and what they fit well for, especially in terms of the cost, tokens, the context, and things like that, right? As well as any fine tuning and other expertise around it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Krishna. So I think, we took a little bit of time to introduce ourselves, but this being an open forum, and I'm actually maintaining two large groups. One is like with 450 members, and the other one is at 3,800 members plus from Meetup. That's why I wanted to make sure that everybody understands the varied backgrounds from people and what their anticipations are in joining this group to understand so that we can all connect later at some point, or you can directly reach out to each other or go through me. Either way is fine, but these introductions are necessary to set the stage for what kind of people are we actually getting together to understand and start sharing. So to start off the discussion, what I'll do is today we will focus quickly on the evolution of DeepSeek, and then I'll open it up for quick questions. Start sharing your data in daily usage, what you're doing, how you think it's going to be useful, what use cases you want to use this for, how is this different from existing chat GPT model, what is the reasoning model, etc. So they're like, I'll keep posing some questions, then you can pick up and just raise your hand to speak, and then so that everybody can understand your viewpoint. So that's the format of this discussion for today, rather than one guy just giving the lecture on a topic like this, because I, I want everybody to understand the whole landscape of what people are looking at. Okay, so with that one, let me share my screen here. As I said, I'll quickly start off my so as you can see, you're seeing the screen, right? The Mermaid Flow app. Are you guys seeing this?
Yeah,
it's great.
yeah,
Okay.
Kiran.
Yeah. So as um, DeepSeek actually came onto the public basically it just blew everybody out of the water in January, but that has not been the case right from the beginning. DeepSeek is completely not new. If you ever worked with ChatGPT, where you started asking questions and started interacting with it, it's not like it just came out of the blue and then took away the whole world to their attention. So these guys have been working on this for some time. The if you look at their initiation of papers that they started submitting, it all started back in January 2024 is what I see some chats here. 1 second. Do we have anything that's coming through? Okay, cool. Yeah, so we have DeepSeek coming out with their paper in January 2024, and they dropped the open source model on Hugging Face. If you guys are actually not familiar with Hugging Face, here is the site to go to and understand. Keep yourself abreast with the latest information. This is an open source um, repository of all the models that actually come in. A lot of people start sharing their data. Here they drop their models up here. You can actually see, you can start searching for models. As you can see, DeepSeek AI, DeepSeek R1 is the first model that they come up with, and you'll have different data sets, you have different spaces, organizations, etc. So you can create your own customized follow-throughs of each of these companies. For example, if you're working with Llama 3.1, and if you want to know what's happening over there, you can actually get the notifications from Hugging Face. And also they have spaces where you can actually host your own model and give it out for testing. And you can also follow other people and all that stuff. Take a look at this. This should be your go-to place to start knowing about models, knowing about the availability of models, their benchmarks. So every model will have a something called as a model card. This is what we call the model card. So this actually, yeah, somebody wants to say something? Yeah, so these are this information I'm sharing with all, because to start off from the basics for people who have just started in AI. And here you can see what this is for, what are the, where you can download the models, where you can actually, get the other models. So every model will have a different model card, generally with their benchmarks being given and also how to use it. So as you can see, after talking about all that stuff, they'll point you to their website, which is chat.deepseek.com, and then you can start interacting with it just like ChatGPT. Okay, so that's the first thing to start with. And coming back to this flow, so these guys started working on this from long time ago. They have been a quant traders. I mean, the company behind this has been doing in finance. They've been doing quant trading, and they've made a lot of money. And from there they have been a lot of learnings from their perspective, which they started publishing out to the public, right, starting from January 2024. That's what the history I have been able to capture. It might be going back a little bit more than that, but we'll start from there. So what actually led to this uproar in the market is how DeepSeek actually trained their models. Basically, when you want to train a model, what you have to do is you have to have the hardware capability, mainly from, at this point of time, mainly it has to come from NVIDIA or NVIDIA, because they have their own, they have their GPUs to actually do the mathematical calculations to perform all the architectural patterns, implement them in a parallelized world where GPUs are spread across in a data center. So it's more like you're doing huge computations, and you must have heard about, hey, Llama did this 1 trillion parameter training on 15,000 GPUs. I'm just giving you an example. So GPU is nothing but a hardware device that actually sits and starts crunching the numbers. But it cannot actually these big models cannot have enough memory, enough processing power on a single GPU. So they have to be networked, they have to be parallelized. So NVIDIA came up with uh, what do you call the top level frameworks that actually allows these parallelism to come into picture on how to manage the memory, the data, the communication. So they have a library called Nickel, NCCL, NVIDIA Communications Library. So they are like they are in the market, they're in the forefront, they are doing they're able to give the best to the companies to start working out with these models and come up with the betterment in AI. But the thing is, these guys are from China. The company DeepSeek, I mean, gave out this model DeepSeek is based out of China, and they have restrictions on how to procure the the chips, A100s and H100s. So they have gotten like, I think few thousands of, GPUs with them. I don't remember the exact number, but after that, they couldn't get anything because of the sanctions that has been imposed on them. So as they say, mother is the necessity for invention. So they started figuring out how to actually start utilizing what they have and start giving out the best of the, model uh, training that they can do. So they started publishing these papers. As you can see, it started from January into June 2024. Start again, uh, if you were to talk about ChatGPT, there are some certain terms that are called transformers. Without transformers, there is no ChatGPT, there's no LLMs in place. It was a paper published by Google's research team back in 2017. ChatGPT, OpenAI guys took that, implemented it. There's like a lot of mathematical calculations that will actually go through backward pass, forward pass, and then feed forward attention. There's like, I'm not going into the details of those, but I'm just brushing it through so that you can go back and check. They have created these models, and then they came up with ChatGPT. Now DeepSeek has taken the basis of of those learnings and made things better. Right? They have introduced their own methodologies called multi-latent, attention heads. They call these are all like, consider these as mathematical matrices being multiplied in thousands of, that has thousands of dimensions. Basically, a matrix is nothing but uh, you know rows and columns of numbers, and all these are put together in a huge manner, and then they all will be multiplied, added, subtracted, and stuff like that. This is all the mathematics that goes behind the calculations. That's why it requires a lot of memory and processing power. And then they came up with the KV cache. They call it the query, vector cache, QKV they call it. They reduced that on how to actually minimize the utilization with less memory. And also they started with something called as mixture of experts, wherein, for example, if I'm an expert and Krishna is an expert and Chris is an expert in one thing, what the LLM does is, instead of actually taking one word or one token, what it does is it'll actually give it out to different experts like us that are very specifically trained on a specific topic, and then it'll actually start having them do the job and then come back. So the more the mixture of experts, the better it is. Again, there are like software architectural limitations that will come into picture. How this mixture of experts are managed, how these mixture of experts are actually being utilized to their fullest extent. Because if you have a team of people, let's say 10 people, you're giving them tasks, and if you don't manage the tasks in such a way that all 10 are working in a good fashion, you would have a balancing problem. You'll have like, only 2 people are working, 8 people are not working. So when Llama and these guys came into picture, they did not actually venture out in figuring out how to minimize these, because for them, the GPUs were not a problem. They just started loading up GPUs at their end. They started loading up a lot more resources, a lot more power, and they did not even look at it. The more the compute, the better the results is what they thought, right? But for people in who are working on this DeepSeek platform, they were looking at, I don't have that much compute. How do I make this happen? So they started looking out for innovations in making things, moving things around, or how to actually do the parallelization in a better fashion and stuff like that. So they came up with these different multi-level head attentions, mixture of experts, reducing the sparsity. I'm throwing some words here. I'm not explaining each and every one. We'll go through that when we go into deep later. But these things came into picture in DeepSeek V3. So what blew up the market was DeepSeek R1. It is completely different from DeepSeek V3, wherein, are you guys not seeing my board here? Are you guys not seeing my screen?
I'm
Yeah,
seeing your
we
screen.
are
We
listening
can
to you.
It's
we can
fine.
see your screen and presentation, Kiran.
This one? Are you seeing
Yeah,
this?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes, we
but
can
on
see
the
it.
left hand side there is some space where something is, I don't know what it is. It says mermaid flow.
Oh,
Something
yeah,
is
yeah.
there.
This is actually, a tool that I created that actually helps creates these graphs.
Oh, okay, this paper. Okay.
Okay, so this is actually, this is more like a sequence diagram, a flow diagram that I can
Oh,
put in and create this. So focus more on these parts. Okay,
okay.
this is the visual that I'm talking about. So as I said, it's like started with LLM on 20 January 2024, June, December, and January, right? So what you're seeing is DeepSeek R1 is what actually blew everybody's mind because they have implemented a maximization of policies. There is a concept called reinforcement learning in large language model terminology. Basically, you would actually reward the system to by doing good things and penalizing the system in doing bad things, in the sense bad things, in this case the wrong results. So if you go to ChatGPT, right, one second here, you can see when I say who is Mr. President of USA now. Okay, so I'm using the model ChatGPT here, right? And yeah, as you can see, it's actually giving two responses. Okay, and after the response is done, you're saying I prefer this response or I prefer this response. Okay, earlier it used to be more like a thumbs up or thumbs down. For example, if you go to DeepSeek, right, who is the president of USA. Okay, so this is actually thinking more in the lines of like, hey, how do I solve this problem? How do I go about this problem? So there's like two different, actions at work here. This is called, reasoning. Basically, LLMs, as you can see from ChatGPT, where is that? Sorry, I have too many up here. Yeah. So this response is basically, this doesn't talk about, hey, I don't have, it's just a single line answer. It's more like, hey, what's your date of birth? 1 to 95, something like that. And then it stops. It doesn't do anything. And this one response to is like, oh, you know what? It has more information. But when you come to DeepSeek here, it has like a lot of internal monologue. This is called internal monologue. This is called reasoning, right? And what it does is it actually thinks before it answers. Before it gave the answer, it's actually more like when you're being asked a question in the exam, you will think through like, how do I solve this problem step by step, and then come back and give an answer. So in ChatGPT, prior to the versions that we have had, we were giving prompts to those models to actually take an action, specifically calling out as step by step. Basically, we are telling them, tell me what steps of functions you're doing to achieve the answer. And then that led to more reasoning models that we are seeing from ChatGPT, like O3 Mini and O1 that's already out there. So where's my, yeah, as you can see, these are like different models out there. So this is called advanced reasoning that came out. Uh, Again, ChatGPT is a closed model. The name is OpenAI, but the logic behind they call it the weights and biases. It was not actually given out to the public. Okay, so it's a closed model. We don't know how the magic happens behind the scenes. And we cannot, if you want to use this locally for our own purposes, we cannot use it. I mean, the only way that we can use it through APIs, and those APIs do cost money. That means OpenAI makes money out of you and your data. So a lot of people were very hesitant to actually give their data back to them. But in DeepSeek, the major important aspect here is DeepSeek published this whole model, even though this is hosted from China. This is, the same data is available on Hugging Face. You can download the models and start playing with it. So you can actually take it out. It's more like, you got the raw ingredients to create your own dish, right? Rather than a dish being made from a restaurant and being given to you. So that's the basic difference. So you can make your dish with your own ingredient, with your own concoction, or buy something out from the OpenAI. So that's a big difference. DeepSeek does have this hosted model in China, and this is very restricted. And all your data will be going back to their servers. They will be knowing like what kind of browser you're using, where are you coming from, what kind of preferential questions you're asking. So they know, basically they can create a whole profile about you. Whereas if you download it locally and start utilizing it, you would not actually see anything. Your data will not even go out of your machine. It can actually start running it locally. So it's more in the lines of Llama, but with open weights and much faster, right? So that you can actually start utilizing this tool for companies and enterprises. I didn't want to give a lecture, but I started off on this, so I'll just start opening up for discussion in 2 minutes. Okay. But these are the basic differences between what OpenAI and what DeepSeek is. So anybody has any question, or comment to make here?
Yeah,
Please go.
I think I'll go first. I mean, I think
Yeah.
you talked about, distributing the, to different kind of agentic AI kind of model, right? RPA kind of model where distribute the task to multiple, LLMs, right?
Mhm.
I think you already pointed out how does the aggregation happens? If you split the token into multiple tokens and then you distribute the work, the computation work across, right? Spread across the distribution. I mean, the clusters. How do you aggregate it, right? That's my first question.
Mhm. Yeah. So anybody wants to answer that from a group? Krishna or somebody, rather than just me speaking.
I'm not expert in that, but generally, if you look at the patterns of neural networks, right, what they'll do is they'll first split it into different things, and then they'll tag, then put a pipeline of another neural network behind the scene, right, that can actually do the combination. So I'm thinking maybe initially there will be a mixture of experts, some routing thing, right, in front of it to decide which expert should it route to. And then the expert's output will again be combined out with another network and then given out, right? So that's one possibility I am thinking of. Yeah.
You need a centralized system to do that, right? I mean, you cannot spread across that. So either way, you need a centralized system. I mean, for aggregating, managing the experts, right?
Yes, so that's what the router does. The router, right? So when you send in the initial context to the router will decide which set of experts should it route to and send that to those experts. It may not be just one expert, it could even dispatch to multiple experts too, the same thing. So that's my understanding. And each expert is basically a neural network again, transformer architecture, right? But with a lesser number of parameters. So typically, if you say 64 billion parameters, and if you divide into four experts, usually they will put 64 divided by 4 number of parameters for each of the experts. So each of the experts will have like less number of parameters that way. And the cost of running those also will be much lesser. Yeah. But if there are anyone who actually has expertise in building those things, yeah, they can answer better. So yeah.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it says 264 billion. I don't know how they are gonna split them into multiple experts. I mean, anyway, I don't want to go inside. The know-how. But the just a quick question on the one that you posted, right? The question you were asking, who is the president of USA? The answer is not right, right?
Let me see.
You didn't give the right answer.
Yeah, so it's actually, see, that's the, let me share my screen again. I was actually asking the question so that you can see how it comes up with an answer.
So difference between current president versus
Yes.
just the president, right? Both are one and the same.
Yeah, so see, these models are actually having a training, cutoff date generally. Okay. So that is why you have companies like Perplexity, companies like Abacus, right, who are creating a wrapper around these LLMs with the information that's available on the internet and giving the answers that are very relevant and the current data. Okay. So as you can see here, it's actually as of the October 2023, right? That is when it was actually trained for. Okay, that's it. Its cutoff date. Okay, so it knows only to the date that is actually. It's more like you have taught the kid to know about the algebra 1, right? And you are yet to tell them about all the things that will come in algebra 2. They're not actually trained for it. So if you ask them, they'll come back and say, I only know this. It's exactly similar, right? So the beauty of other companies that are creating wrapper products around these base foundational LLMs is that they will take the foundational LLM, they will go back and do the search on the internet. That's where generally we do with Google, brings in that data, then pass it through these LLMs and gives a concise or more formatted answers for us. That's where Perplexity is actually kicking Google's uh, what do you call the mantle that Google is sitting on for search, saying that this is my place to come in. Right? A lot of people are actually increasing their Perplexity usage. So if you were to look at what I have here, so see here, Perplexity, I'll open. This is another tool. This is based out of, this is based off of LLMs. It's not like an LLM. They do have their own. They created their own, but you can actually go to, you don't have to go here. Let's see. I can start showing here. So you can look at the list of LLMs that they can utilize. But when you say, who is the president of USA, it actually, you know, knows what it is. Donald Trump is currently serving as the 47th president, right? So this is the difference between what DeepSeek does with the latest data and what other tools these are called wrapper products, but these are like really, really good wrapper products. Okay. And this company is actually, has been, I think it's about $9 billion worth right now. That's the valuation that has happened.
Got it.
Right.
I mean, what I heard was like, I mean, Meta or I mean, Llama or other LLMs, they do crawling, right? I mean, so they crawl the entire Wikipedia, right? That's where the computation and all the GPUs comes into picture, right? So you're
Yes.
saying that DeepSeek doesn't do on its own. You need to have a wrapper, to
See, the initial training data, right, is from it could be like terabytes of data that they have captured from the internet. They have taken, some people were also posting information about Llama has been trained on books that are available on the zlib. There's not a legal, I don't want to spread that, but basically there are websites that are not legal to download the books. They have captured all the books from their location and started utilizing that for training their Llama models. Okay. OpenAI scoured through the internet, captured all the information, then put it through the training pipeline. Okay. Now, DeepSeek has a different way that it did, because at some points it actually comes back and answers you as OpenAI. So instead of actually, because these guys have already learned something, it's more like copying from a guy who has already studied for 1 year. You go to the exam, you sit next to him. He has studied for one year by scouring through all the books and everything. He's writing down on the paper. You sit next to him and just have a glance at his paper and write everything. So it's DeepSeek has been notorious. I mean, there are like many memes around it, where DeepSeek just got the information training based off of OpenAI. They might have like made so many calls to OpenAI to capture the information to train their own model. Did I answer your question?
This is another question
Thanks
that
thanks.
that I have, I heard about this, what you just mentioned, that DeepSeek actually used a lot of pre-trained information from OpenAI. What happens, and then probably OpenAI is going to put a stop on it or build some sort of like a security and safety around their contents. What happens if they start implementing that and DeepSeek lost the access to those pre-training information? Will that, if that happens, will DeepSeek get set back in the competition with OpenAI, with Llama, with other perplexities and other model builders?
Yeah, see, there is a mode for, I mean, before we answer the question about like, hey, whether DeepSeek will have a setback with if OpenAI cuts off their access, yes, but they have actually already trained the model in such a way that they have learned whatever they were able to learn till the October 2023 timeframe. Okay. And on top of that, if you were to actually take the foundation model and start making it work with the all the new and latest stuff, that is what these guys are Perplexity and these guys have actually taken the base model and they have started utilizing that model with the on top of that they started utilizing the current data and start using them. There's that is the question to I mean the question you had is, would DeepSeek have a setback? They might, because they're not going to actually get it from the OpenAI. But the thing is, they've already trained a model that they have the access to. Okay. That is number one. They can actually start this. There is a process called distillation, right? Which they already did with R1 0 and stuff like that. They distilled the models to actually do with Llama 3.1, 8 billion parameter. They have Llama 70 billion parameters distilled and stuff like that. So yes, they do, but they already have the data that they already captured from OpenAI, in my opinion. So they that would be a setback, but not a big one for them. They would just continue to do so. Okay.
Not in the short term.
Not in the short term. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So the second point is Perplexity, like companies, they have a, I mean, I wouldn't say call a complete moat, but they do have at this point of time, because they're not dependent on the LLMs, right? They are like, they can use any LLM that comes across. And the beauty of DeepSeek is they have published they have open sourced their weights and biases, as I call. These are like the simple knobs that you turn at the neural network level to adjust to get a better response to the questions, or predicting the next token. Okay. So all the LLMs are basically best prediction machines, okay, of the next word that comes across. What DeepSeek did is, DeepSeek has actually done something called as multi-token prediction. If you look at for example, lazy fox jumps, something. If you say lazy fox, ChatGPT would say what the next word would be. So it thinks through, it learns from the neural network, and it will say like, okay, lazy fox jump is the most probable text that I need to put in after this. But in DeepSeek, what it does is it does something called as multi-token prediction. It's called MTP. Instead of one or two, just one token, one predicted token, they actually have a series of tokens or words that can be predicted and given back. So they have batch processing sort of tokens that they were able to get through. Again, this is all based off of the necessity of them utilizing the the GPUs that they have, because they don't have the hardware. Okay, they were trying to come back with these innovations to take this piece of transformers, like for they call it FFA, forward attention, right? Feed forward loop, propagation. Then they took that specific part of transformers, they actually tweaked it, came up with again, if you were to look at their code, it would be like a Python notebook that's completely messy. Somebody was actually talking about this in the Lex Friedman's podcast. You would be like, oh, okay, these guys went through this process, but we don't get to see it. But that's a speculation. So they have tried different ways to make it work, and they were successful. And they have done it in a very methodical way, starting last few years. Okay. So they do have a setback, but I don't think it lasts long. And also, they have given the open source weights to the community. So Hugging Face have actually started creating a GitHub repo where they implemented the exact steps that were given in the papers by DeepSeek, and they were successfully able to recreate what DeepSeek has created. So it's not like they have put everything, they stored everything with them and not releasing the data and just the model. They have told, hey, this is the way we went through and started utilizing these innovative techniques. You guys can do it. So somebody from Berkeley went and actually had, implemented a very small model with very small number of parameters. I think it's million or something. They did it with $30 worth of GPU consumption. They were able to develop this model. So I'll start sharing these in my response to the meetup in an email. I'll put all these links. Take a look so that you'll start learning more. Okay.
So what you're just what are you talking about is more on the model itself. You said that someone from Berkeley just spent $30 to train a very a small model using the technique that DeepSeek used. I wonder if we put the DeepSeek model hosted ourselves and start at a user to use it as doing a lot of inference. That part has nothing to do with how the model is trained, right?
Correct.
You need to have a robust infrastructure to compute, and everything depends on how many users want to use it. That has nothing to do that the model itself won't speed up. I mean, the inference part of it. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. You can actually take the DeepSeek. I mean, a lot of people are already doing it, right? They want to fine tune their own data based off of DeepSeek distilled models, right? Again, the accuracy levels do change because the higher the number of parameters that you can start, making changes, as I call them, the knobs, the more the possibility of actually having a higher accurate values. I think Krishna K here was actually trying. He and I were actually going back on our WhatsApp group asking like, hey, I made this, I asked this question, I'm getting an answer like this. What is your experience? So I have had LM Studio, which is a tool that is locally can be hosted using any of the models. My experience in the beginning has been something, but it got changed. So again, you need to understand the non-deterministic nature of these models. You need to know that once you ask a question, it's not always will give you the exact same answer. That is why these reasoning models came in to try to cut the, they call it a term called hallucination. If you're familiar, no model will ever say that I don't know the answer. Okay. They are always like a student who just makes up the answers for you if they don't know it. If they know it, yes, perfect. If they don't know, they'll give an answer. You would not know whether it's right or wrong. So that's why reasoning models are going to get into limelight as we go through from an accuracy standpoint, because you'll know what's behind. It's more a little bit more observable, in my opinion. To your question, Don, yes, it is possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kiran, I have one question. Like we were like you were talking about, like we can download this model, run on our machine, right? And I think NVIDIA also released some kind of machine, standalone machine, right? Recently at CES, like it's a $3,000 machine. So do you need that kind of machine, or you can just, or there is any minimum configuration which you should have to run the model locally and optimize it?
See, those are again what kind of output, or what is your goal, right? For example, if you want to create the model or use the model, you have to decide which segment you'll fall into. If you want to use a model and start writing your own applications, like our enterprises are doing to some extent, or many of these apps that you're seeing on the internet that are coming out, they are like wrapper apps, right? That runs the OpenAI on the cloud, starts making the calls to them and fetches the data and presents it to the user. Okay, that's a very simple use case. You don't require a high-end machine to train the model. Okay, but if you were to start creating your own model, or if you were to start fine-tune your model or distill your own model, right, then you would start looking at the computation capacity that is required for you. So the higher the parameters that you want to start utilizing, the higher the requirement for compute.
Okay, Okay.
right? So which segment you will fall in is what you need to
No, so mostly I think we will be basically from the application perspective, right? It will be mostly like using the model, right, to write your own application. Like suppose I am in the DevOps field, I am in the operational field, and I want to use the model to predict like when can my next production incident can happen or something like that, and I have operational data. So if I want to leverage this model, right?
Mhm.
So is it something we need a huge computational power, or it's something which can be done on the like a local machine?
You can start utilizing with the local machine of running your low
Okay.
level models,
Mm,
based on whether it's Windows or we have a tool
mm,
called Ola. If you see this is a tool I'm running here. It's called Olama, right? For
okay.
example, if you want to see some of this information is pretty much used every day for most of us, but as you can see,
Mm,
this is like um, uh, uh, a system that allows you to load the models, interact with it, creates an interface for
okay.
you to use it locally. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So as you can see, it's pretty easy, right? Once you go to start running the model, what you have to do is like, here it is. You have to start downloading Olama, and you have to say
Mm,
Olama run DeepSeek
okay.
R1 with 671
Mm,
billion parameters. Or you can do like Quen 7 billion, 8 billion. As you can see, there are like several variations of this. The lower the number,
okay.
the accuracy might be different. And again, that depends on what is your usage, whether you want whether you want to use it for coding, whether you want to use it for just like some verifying how the answers are going to be, whether you're using it
Mm,
for mathematical calculations. The usage varies, depends on.
okay.
Then you have to look for like what is the benchmarks, right? For example, if you have I have like each one has their own benchmarks for code forces, for math, for software development, etc. So every one of this has like a individual explanation of what this does. So then you have to pick and choose. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question on this. Can you scroll up a little bit on the
Mhm,
those eight variation of the models?
mhm,
I use a llama to run some like llama 3 and on my computer.
mhm.
I'm a little confused about the name of the it's called DeepSeek distilled llama. So how does that work? Why the DeepSeek has anything to do with Owen or with yeah? You see this steel llama 8 billion. If you look at a llama 3 model, you have the 8 billion, 70, and the 400 billion
Yeah.
parameters model. So how that name? Uh, uh, you know,
This is, yeah. So basically, as I said, right?
yeah,
These are foundation models like Llama 3.3, 5, 3.2,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? So
yeah.
these have been not these are like, I wouldn't say traditional yet, but at least these are like the older version of the models compared to DeepSeek R1. Okay,
Yes,
not DeepSeek.
yeah,
DeepSeek had like three different versions, as I've shown you.
right, right.
In my
Yeah,
original.
you got version 2, version
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
second. Let me see if I can actually bring that back up. Okay, I see here. So DeepSeek, V2,
yeah,
V3, and R1, right?
yeah.
So what we are dealing with is DeepSeek R1, which had different, versions, as he said, like mixed precisions, improved inference speed. I mean, these are like only very specific, very high level topics I'm copying here, but there's like n number of things. Mixture, multi-token prediction, FP8, sparsity, many things I can go on and on as far as I remember. But those are all the things that are actually made DeepSeek. But when you come back to this question of Llama, they're the base foundation models. They have been trained on thousands of GPUs, and they have given you the weights. Okay.
Mhm.
Now you can take this Llama 3.3 and start fine tuning. That means, for example, Llama 3.3 is a very generalized model. Okay. It learned everything. It learned from reading books. It learned from looking at the stock charts. It learned from, it's, the focus is very varied. It's a broad category of learnings that it has been, getting the information from. But when you want to fine tune, I'll try to explain about fine tune and distillation. Fine tune is basically what you do is you would actually take a focused approach. For example, if you're in banking or if you're an insurance company, you want to make this model learn very specific use cases or learnings from the insurance perspective and on your data, right? Suppose if you're working or you own a company and you have to know like, hey, well, how my chats have been with my customers, what are the products that my company is offering, right? If you want to host that model locally, not by going to OpenAI and stuff like that, take the Llama, fine tune it, basically make it learn specific aspects of insurance. That is what is called fine tuning, right? And then host it on your local so that all your users in the company can start utilizing it. Okay. That is a very high level overview of fine tuning. Then comes to the point of distillation. Basically, what distillation does is they will take this DeepSeek R1 model. Okay, they'll take Llama 3.1, Llama 3.3 with 70 billion parameters and stuff like that. There's a master and tutor, master and student relation in this distillation aspect. Basically, they take DeepSeek R1 and then they will train this Llama, right, foundation model based on what DeepSeek tells them. So basically, DeepSeek R1 will become the master. Llama 3.1 with 1 billion, whatever, 7 billion parameters will become the student, right? So the knowledge that DeepSeek has gained will be distilled into Llama models. That is where your distilled models comes into picture. So they have trained Llama 3.1 models based off of DeepSeek. Basically, as if, you're the teacher and you're teaching your class students after you learn a lot about physics. It's as simple as that. There's a process for it, but they have made them learn.
That the DeepSeek model has more knowledge, quote unquote knowledge, than the Llama 3. So
it's knowledge per se is like, how it was trained, right?
Yeah.
With all the, again, there are like layers upon layers that we're talking about here. OpenAI, the basic, plethora of data from the internet. DeepSeek, taking the data from OpenAI, if I were to put like a diagram like this.
Yeah.
And then DeepSeek giving out the data to Llama 3.1. So if you were to do a distillation deep dive, we can do it later, but that's how it actually gets to learn from DeepSeek, and Olama actually started sharing with all. So these can actually run locally. So if you were to run DeepSeek distill Quen actually is a model from Alibaba. They have their, again, why are we doing distill versions? As I said, one benchmark for one model is meant to actually do like very good coding. Okay. One model is very good at reasoning. Okay. So if you were to take the highly efficient coding model and have that learn from DeepSeek, you have a better coding model right here without actually doing the complete foundational model creation.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like a very high level overview, as much detail as I could, simplify it for you guys. But there's like a lot of deep dives that we can do if you're to get into that model creation itself. Again, there are like two aspects, as I said: model creation, model usage. Which one you fall into, you pick the choice. Right? Anybody who wants to share anything with their experience or any questions of DeepSeek?
I can just add, there is a instruct model for Llama also that has been fine-tuned. So that is also available.
Is it under this? Who's speaking, by the way?
This Santosh.
Oh, Santosh. Okay. Which one are you referring to?
So it's not here, but you can find Llama instruct model.
Oh, Llama
that has
instruct.
been fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 second.
So as Kiran said, one is the pre-training, and other is the post-training. Post-training can be supervised learning and something called reinforcement learning with human feedback. And DeepSeek has improved further. So there are various processes to do that. So
Yep. So you have to get familiarized with these, different terminologies. What is fine tuning? What is instruct tuning? What is inference tuning? Distillation, and there's if you want to learn more on these model creations, it's wide and deep, so you can pick your choice how deep you want to go into. But there is what DeepSeek has actually proved is it's not like the amount of compute that you have will always be the more the compute, the better the accuracy. That's not the case. They have implemented their own methodologies to come up. So there's like a lot of innovation that is still open out there. If you understand, you can innovate, come up with your own model that can actually be very good for everybody.
I wanted to add one
Mhm.
point on the previous discussion. So there was a question about this mixture of experts are different LLMs, but it's
Mhm.
not exactly like that. It's a one LLM, and they divide this, what Kiran said, forward network, right, into multiple. So, and they have this routing mechanism to
Yes.
call those. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not
So
multiple LLMs.
yeah, it's not a model garden and multiple LLM routing. That's a different aspect altogether. It's the same LLM where the mixture of experts are loaded into different. I mean, you would actually spread the efficiency or the expertise into different GPUs across the parallelized,
Right.
uh, you know,
Yeah.
model. I would say parallelized infrastructure, and each one of them will be identified, and there's a router sitting behind. How do I route this to this this expert versus this expert, right?
Yeah, literally, they are not multiple LLMs, but they
Yeah.
are multiple transformer architectures packaged together as a one big neural network architecture, right? But internally, you will have a router architecture, which is itself is a neural network again, deciding which experts to route to. So it's all packaged together. It's not like individual LLMs. Yeah. But just logically, you can think of that as an individual LLMs. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that feed forward network, that is post this all these attention network, right? And then these routing networks are there, and that decides. So instead of one big mega feed forward network, we divide into multiple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Llama is not a mixture expert. Llama is a classic
Llama is
example.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mixtral is one, right? Mixtral
Mixture.
and
yeah,
even
Mixture
DeepSeek
is.
is a mixture of experts, isn't it?
DeepSeek is a
DeepSeek.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
DeepSeek is a mixture of experts with taking care of there's something called as sparsity, and also I talked about the problem of routing and load balancing within the mixture of experts. As I was giving the example of
Mhm.
how these mixture of experts are actually being put to the maximum utilization rather than because out of 671 billion parameters that DeepSeek has been trained on originally, the most of the stuff, the higher the compute, the higher the parameters. When you are not utilizing the complete compute at once. So basically, to if you want to predict a specific token in Llama, what happens is all the parameters are being utilized to actually used, but it's not like completely utilized. Okay, in out of 671 billion parameters that they actually started off with, only 37 billion parameters are actually utilized. So that means you're in your parallelized world where you require a lot of GPUs to hold this. Again, it goes back to the query QKV values and stuff like that to store the memory, passing the data from one GPU to the other. So if you're getting into, yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you're getting into CUDA programming, if you're getting into those network, communication library that is created by Mr. Jensen's team from NVIDIA, you will understand this. But that's a whole programming paradigm at a different level. You will really get into deep. Either you can stay at the Python level, which is like a higher level, or you can get into the CUDA, which is like a lower level, or there are people actually getting into the assembly level code where you're manipulating the GPUs to communicate with each other across the parallelized, infrastructure. That's a whole different world out there. So you will really get into hardware basics and coding and stuff like that. So that is where DeepSeek actually has created strides in innovating on how to, use this mixture of experts in a better way. right? So if you're interested, we can, go deep down in that path. But I'm actually not a CUDA guy, or I have not created, model myself. I've been learning as I get through. That's what I'm sharing with you all. But if you have anything, please share. I mean, if you want to get into model creation itself, we can talk. Right? Are you seeing my screen share here? No. Are you seeing the DeepSeek? Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, we can see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
screen share.
Okay, hold on. Let me share
Yeah.
again. For some reason, it's actually losing the share here.
Yeah, I wanted to add
Mhm.
my view on this president of US question that you asked, right? To
Okay.
both OpenAI and DeepSeek. So OpenAI given you two answers, right? So
Mhm.
one is directly coming from the weights. That's why it's wrong, right? The other one, as you said, did some web search and built it in the context and then given to LLM. That's why it gives the right answer.
Right. As you can see, these are the references that it actually came through.
Yeah. So this is like providing, like it's like they are doing some kind of advanced prompt engineering through the Google
Mhm.
search that they get the data, and then that's why this gives the right answer.
Correct.
But is
Correct.
the answer available in the weights? No, it's not available in the weights. That's why the simple direct call to LLM doesn't give the right answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And as you can see, I mean, that's the difference between, DeepSeek getting cut off as of October 2023. If you have used the ChatGPT two years ago when it came out, where is my again? Yeah. Here, earlier it used to say, hey, it used to give a similar answer as DeepSeek. It was like, oh, my cutoff date as of February, June 2022, the president is so and so, right? That is how it used to give the answer. Now they are seeing the importance of actually doing the search, right? Which is the whole holy grail for Perplexity and companies like that. They started utilizing the current information that's out there on the internet and started synthesizing that data, which is like, coming like this. So you can do a search directly on ChatGPT, or you can use tools like Perplexity to start utilizing the same, right? So there's a interesting conversation between Sam Altman and the CEO of this Perplexity company, Arvind Srinivas, where they were like going back and forth, like, oh, what did you do today? Because Perplexity has taken the market share big time, and a lot of Google queries have been being rerouted to Perplexity. So they have come up with their own models. They have come up with their own reasoning models, and they have made the search pretty easy. It's very pointed. Google actually gives you a list of the top items. You have to search through what you want. But this, with the power of LLMs, they started synthesizing and getting the data back to you. So if you're not a Perplexity user, I would certainly suggest you to subscribe. If you're a LinkedIn premium user, they give it for free for 1 year, I believe. Take a look. I strongly suggest using these tools.
Just from the user experience perspective,
Mm-hmm.
compare the ChatGPT, the response from ChatGPT you're showing on your screen versus the response from DeepSeek. ChatGPT is much better. It's much relevant, but the DeepSeek give you a lot of a chain of thought and all this thinking behind the scene. From the end user perspective, we don't care about that though. We care the answer, do we?
Yes. Yes. So there's exactly. So you look for the right answer. That's what actually we were,
Yeah.
giving the, examples. But this point, right, of monologue and reasoning aspects from an LLM perspective is used for deep research. OpenAI came up with this. After DeepSeek came with DeepThink. This is the R1 model, which is called the DeepThink, which is you're seeing the monologue. It actually knows what it is doing, and it'll actually spits out the whole process of telling the user that, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. This is how I arrived at the conclusion, which was not the case. OpenAI is forced to actually open up their models with respect to deep research, which is you have to pay $200 for that. But there are like open tools that are available, similar. And Perplexity came up with their own deep research. For example, if you were to see this, they have like deep research, complex topic, and reasoning with O3 Mini. So Reasoning is nothing but where you take the task, split it, and make sure that you go through several iterations before you give the answer and actually tell like how you came up with the answer, right? So LLMs are getting better, but reasoning will take a lot more computation compared to a regular question and answer without reasoning. So you have to be very careful in which model to use for your own purposes. So don't just go about, oh, I have like four mini, which is maybe it's a little bit inexpensive, but if you were to do is the use the deep research or whatever, that information is not required for regular use cases or your fine-tuned models. So you have to look at the amount of input tokens and output tokens and how much cost it actually
Of course.
incurs for your enterprise. That's very important. A lot of people miss that. They want to get the best out of it, but again, is that really the one that you want for the use case that you are requiring to utilize at your enterprise?
Yeah, DeepSeek is open source, so you can download the model. But if you is this commercial based like ChatGPT, just those chain of thought alone, it's cost quite a bit, which you
Yes.
don't care at all.
Yep. Yeah. Anybody has any other?
Yeah, if someone like us wants to understand exactly, right, DeepSeek thing happened good for us, right? It exposed what OpenAI has been doing internally and secretly, right? DeepSeek has come out. So if you have been following, there was something called Q star, right? And people were just guessing what Q star is, and this DeepSeek comes and tells us exactly how they are doing it. So for us who wants to understand how it works, it is very exciting if you are not working in OpenAI.
And also for people who are venturing into this field of building neural networks, right? Just try to identify the high level pattern that may give you better insights and better flexibility to get into the next level research and other areas, right? Yeah, mostly if you look at this pattern, right, at least what my observation is, it's all about trying to put permutations and combinations of putting together various neural networks and various architectures, but at least at the very high level, right? That's what I felt like. But down the lane, when you go deeper, yes, there are a lot of technical aspects as well as research aspects. But high level, you put something in front, something in middle, and something in back. But how do you optimize the front layer is the most of the research goes, right? Like if you look, initially it came up with convolutional neural networks, then it came with this transformers, then mixture of experts and all those things. Yeah. It's an interesting field, yes.
Yeah, it is. And also productionizing, right? That is one more important thing. Yeah. Somebody was saying something. Please go ahead.
So since I look at this LLM model quite often, so the conception they give us is model 1, they use 7 billion, model 2 use 70 billion. So this we only have one parameter to describe how good the model is, how bad it is. Are there any other parameter can describe, okay, this model is good with certain parameter? Do you guys have any idea?
So if I understand your question correctly, just for the benefit of all, let me repeat it. You're saying what is one parameter that actually gives you what model to use? What is that one parameter?
No, I think that's the model we can install for local is 7 billion token DeepSeek model. The another model is 70 billion. Why we only have one parameter to describe the strongness or powerful for those model? Why don't have any other parameter? So for most of the product, they have many parameters to describe, okay, they're good because they have a certain parameter. But at this moment, we only know, okay, this model is good because they have more tokens, 7 billion compare 70 billion.
Yeah, you're saying, see, there are two aspects that I'm understanding from your question. One is like, what is that one parameter that we need to look for? And second one is like, you're also talking about the tokens, right? So
The parameter they made is token, 77 billion token, all those things. So from my understanding is when we look at any data structure, data or something, we know exactly the data structure, how it's organized, no matter relation database or not relation database, we know how they work together, then generate output. But for those language model, we only know a number, we don't know anything else. Nobody.
There are performance benchmark to measure the capability of each model, right? That's why.
No, they just result, the test result.
Yeah. So
you don't know the data
the
structure. You just know result. Okay, this
yeah. So there are two things. One is the number of parameters. So the way this whole architecture, the transformer architecture works, and everyone believes that the more the parameter, the better it is. That is one part of it. And the second is how you do the pre-training and post-training, right? So you can think of like 15 trillion tokens, like zipped into somehow, and things get stored into the weights, right? It's not exactly the zipping that is work, but somehow you do these arithmetics, right? And those informations come into the weights during the pre-training and post-training. So number of parameters are important in this architecture right now.
This looks like the most important factor.
Yeah, that's the most important factor because it's more about how many knobs you can control to actually get the accuracy layers in the neural network. That is what parameters, billions or trillions of parameters as we talk about. This has been trained on 671 billion. This has been trained on like 50 billion or 1 million. So they started off with very few numbers and then it just kept going up and up, right? So the accuracy levels, right, are dependent on the amount of measurements that you can manage, right? These billions of parameters are nothing but how we can actually make the specific neural or neuron to give an output in a better way. Okay, so if this is to do with the neural networks, you have to dig a little bit deeper into the neural networks on how to make those adjusted weights to actually get to the answer. For example, if you have 3 layers of network, you're giving a mathematical value of 0.1 in the first layer, which would actually give you an answer of x, right? But you were trying to get to y, you have to adjust that value to maybe 0.2, right? Or 0.3. So the y value is achieved depending on each. I'm just giving an example of one neuron and how to adjust the value over there to get do the mathematical calculation at the end of your own neural network. And billions of neural network layers are possible in these different models. So those parameters are so important. The higher the number, that means the higher the ability for you to adjust, right? The lower the number, the you cannot adjust as much and your accuracy levels will not be as good. That is why those are parametric values. You talked about the tokens, right? The tokens are nothing but the how you take a specific phrase and break it down into different parts and give a mathematical value to each of those English words is what is called tokenization. So if you see, let me share this just to give a glimpse of what TikTok tokenizer. Let me tell you.
Also, there's you got to look at this response in the bigger picture. That the more parameter of the model has, of course, it's supposed to be more powerful, but it takes a lot of compute resource. The efficiency can be lower, but the like 8 billion, even 3 billion parameter model, you can get your answer really good. May not be as accurate as the 400 billion model, but it's good enough. But you can get it back in 2 seconds.
Yep.
So
yep. Again,
you look at the result as in an overall view, I guess.
Yeah. So if you see, right, this is what I was saying, right? So for example, I would say, give me an example, right? So let me just take this out. I'll just.
Yeah, I just asked the same question to DeepSeek and the ChatGPT. How LM model data is organized? I think the answer they give is quite clear. they
Yeah,
they mention data structure and the parameter distribution and something. Looks good. Yeah.
yeah. That's where the holy grail for ChatGPT was, right? Because they were able to, hit that soft spot which can be, made easier for people to use, and that is because of reinforced RLHF. There is this technique called reinforcement learning with human feedback. ChatGPT actually did not explode just because of of what they did. They have opened it for users to make their system better, right? That's why you have thumbs up or thumbs down. Looking at, they started training with all that data and then readjust the weight so that it becomes, the accuracy of their system becomes much better, right? Uh, and DeepSeek did the similar. They used a reinforcement learning technique, and then they improved upon it. They call it group policy GRPO related, technique, wherein the system will actually starts, understanding itself to do better, right? That's where their aha moment was. You can read their paper. They have, again, the innovation from DeepSeek is groundbreaking, right? The reason behind it is the necessity. They wanted to use it for their quant techniques. I don't know. They already made $8 billion of their company, but they were trying to, like, okay, I want to use this. I want to actually start, looking at my quants from a stock standpoint. They are building their own and they open it up for everybody, which is good for community, in my opinion. If they were not to do it, I wouldn't be thinking that we would have ChatGPT coming up with their O3 mini model.
Okay.
They force them.
Another question I want to discuss with Tim. As I heard, DeepSeek use lots of Chinese document to train their model. So I'm not sure this is the difference between the training data between ChatGPT or DeepSeek, since the source is different.
Yeah, it is different. Actually, if you were to see the DeepSeek V2 models earlier, there were like a lot of question and answers coming out in Chinese that people were not able to understand. So they made it better by putting the system, whole system. I mean, I didn't do much research on it to confidently say how they did it, but they took out the language barrier of answering in Chinese versus in English. That's where the R1 model is much better, right, compared to what V2 and V3 has been. But in my opinion, if you were to learn more about LLMs and the techniques, the whole paradigm shift, how it happened with DeepSeek, I think it's better to start learning from their papers. I mean, there are n number of papers out there, but we'll get lost in those. I would strongly suggest to start with DeepSeek, right? And then understand each one. Like, if you don't understand a specific term, go ahead and look it up, and then we can have the conversations going further. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this whole group who joined like is pretty interested in learning further. So please keep yourself tuned to this.
Good.
Right. Anybody? I think we are like 2 minutes over the time. I want to be cognizant about everybody's time. So, you guys want to have any other questions? Yeah, I think I have this one coming from here.
Yeah, thanks Kiran for the informative session.
Sure.
Please share your contact also with us. Okay.
Yeah,
So that we
actually,
can reach.
it's let me share my contact. It's my LinkedIn. So, sorry, not my picture. Yeah. So this is my LinkedIn profile. I'll just share it with you all in the chat. You can connect me with me over there, and we'll continue to have more sessions like this in the coming upcoming weeks. I'll start publicizing that in the meetups, and please be spread the mouth of spread the word, and get more people engaged so that we'll all can learn and do good things down the line.
is the meetup like monthly typically? Is that the
That's
case?
what I'm planning for. So I have like, I have two, this is what I started, right? And this is what my talking tech and startups and digital lifestyle. This is another group that I have. You're seeing my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you can be either of part of either of these two, or so I'll start, publishing the details about what the things are, and you can keep yourself tuned. And if you're interested to learn and be actively participating in my either Discord or WhatsApp, WhatsApp is pretty active. You can just reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can actually add you there. All right. So I thank everyone to actually be there, all the while. And we have like 13 people at the max join the call, and we'll keep continue to have these discussions down the line. I hope this you found this useful. Louis, I think is that you who or Chris, you shared your Kickstarter project, right? Would you love to actually have some details there in a different session, maybe for 20 minutes or so, to make everybody understand on what you do? Chris?
Chris, yeah, that's Chris.
I think take a look at this, guys. This is what Chris shared with us from our group. It's a FPGA controller. I think it's a breakout board for beginners and traders. Let's take a look. I'll check with Chris if he can actually come back and present more details on this, how it can help us to do our DIY. Okay. Thank you, Josh. Thank you,
Thank you.
Santosh.
Have a nice day, guys.
Yeah,
Have
I'll
a
send
good
this
day.
recording in my DFW Emerging Tech Hub group. Take a look. I'll send that in the email as a meetup response. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Karan.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.